Sri Lanka's most powerful news brand.
Those were the scenes from across the world as it welcomed the dawn of 2018.
We here at News First would like to wish all our viewers a very happy and prosperous new year. I'm Shane Silva.
And I'm Datsuni Athalda. Let's start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
President to make special statement on Bond Commission report on Wednesday. Controversy over foreign businessmen and 3 others apprehended and released by customs with over $200,000. 5 killed and 33 others wounded in New Year's Eve accidents. UN Secretary General issues red alert to the world in New Year message.
The dawn of the new year also brought along with it the first full moon Poya day of the year, the Duruthu full moon Poya day. The Poya is of special importance as it signifies the day Lord Buddha first visited the island.
9 months after attaining enlightenment, Lord Buddha first visited the island on Duruthu full moon Poya day to resolve a conflict between the Yaksha and Naga tribes. History also states that it is the day on which the Mahayangana Chaitya was built. It contains the hair relics of the Lord Buddha, which were presented to Lord Sumana Saman. It is further stated that the 3 Jatila brothers also embraced Buddhism on this day. Devotees welcome the dawn of the new year by paying homage to the Mahayangana Raja Mahaviharya, the temple of the sacred tooth relic in Kandy, and the Sri Mahabodhya in Anuradhapura.
On this Duruthu Poya day, I'd like to recognize everyone who is engaging in religious activities. By engaging in these religious activities ourselves and developing our being, we will see the dividends paid both in this life and the next.
A special puja was held at the Shakyamalakaya opposite the Capital Maharaja Organization Limited this afternoon. Members of the staff also began the year with multi-religious observances.
It is very rarely that a full moon Poya day coincides with the first day of the year, so that kind of year is special. May you be young, middle-aged or old, we all have a given responsibility. We may all be imperfect in fulfilling these responsibilities. If these do occur, we work to reduce these imperfections.
About 7 billion people live in the world today. Everyone is together. The Capital Maharaja Organization Limited starts work every year by paying homage to God. Celebrating a new year means that we are getting a year older and we lose 1 year of the rest of our lives. The end of the world is near. Until that day comes, let all of us get together and take the responsibility of living honest lives.
I wish that the new year 2018 will be one of prosperity. I would also like to wish the chairman and the staff of the Capital Maharaja Organization Limited all the very best. The Maharaja Organization does a lot for the people. They are an example to every other organization.
මේ වසර තුලදී මට මුණ ගැසෙන්නේ
During this year, I will meet with my family. During this year, I will meet people of this organization and my own organization. The people I will meet this year in this country and this world are the same people I met last year. But to make this a new year, we can't wait for them to change. We must change ourselves. To make this year a fresh year, let's change, let's forgive and let's approach one another. Let's accept other races and religions.
අපි අනිත් ජාතීන් අනිත් ආගම් පිළිගනිමු.
With the dawn of the new year, President Maithripala Sirisena paid his respects to the tooth relic in Kandy today.
After paying his respects and receiving blessings for the new year, the President spoke to the devotees. President Sirisena also called on the chief prelates. Meanwhile, the renovated access road to the Nelligal International Buddhist Center was opened under the auspices of His Excellency. The President also ceremonially opened the renovated upper floor of the center and other developments undertaken at the premises. Dignitaries including several MPs and ministers and the Commander of the Air Force, Air Marshal Kapila Jayampathy, graced the occasion.
President Maithripala Sirisena has announced a special statement will be made on the report and recommendations presented by the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the issuance of Treasury bonds.
The head of state made the statement via his Twitter account. The special statement will be made on the 3rd of January. The report of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry was handed over to the President on the 30th of December.
Convening a media briefing in Colombo today, the JVP expressed these views on the report of the Bond Commission.
Obviously, this Presidential Commission has to present several recommendations in order for the Commission's report to be complete. Accordingly, these criminals should be punished by the Attorney General based on the recommendations of the Commission. They should not be forgotten with time.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa declared open an operation office of the Pudujana Peramuna today.
Following the event in Tangol, the former president spoke to the media.
There is a report, I think, which is 3 big books on how the central bank was robbed. I'm not quite sure if this would come out though. We are waiting. There is no point in this report. They might vote on it after it comes out. Maybe it won't even come out. Sometimes he might just keep the scabbard and give the sword to someone else.
After the departure of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, a group of headquarters police officers in Tangol arrived at the location. The officers were investigating the usage of loudspeakers at the event without a license.
This is absurd. We can neither talk or walk on the street. This politics is absurd. The police have also been politicized, just like John Amaratunga said. Both the police and the government are theirs. We will see what happens. Minister Dulip went on rallies while the Tangol police and the ASP looked on. Where is the law? They even provided security. The law has fallen apart. We have got the license and submitted it to the police. It is the responsibility of the police, not ours. Addressing a public meeting in Panduasnuwara, Minister of Sports Das Wijayasekara commented on how 2 factions have developed in the SLFP.
Are they trying to take this forward using the reasons for our failure? We met former President Mahinda Rajapaksa 4 to 5 days after our defeat. What did he say? He said he has made a decision to resign from the post of chairman of the party and hand it over to Maithripala Sirisena. I asked him how we are supposed to work with him. When he asked why, I told him I cannot work with him because I was the one who scolded him the most. So how could I go work with him? Mahinda Rajapaksa told me to go work with him because he was the secretary of the party for 13 years and a member of the party for 47 years. After that, the Central Committee brought forward a proposal which the Executive Committee and the All Island Working Committee raised their hands and agreed. Mahinda Rajapaksa also came to the party convention in Polonnaruwa and congratulated President Sirisena. It was 8 months later that they began this nonsense called Mahinda Sulanga. If he had told us back then he was not willing to give up the party leadership and asked us to stay with him, we would have. But when the party leadership is given to another person, there is nothing we can do. Whoever becomes the leader of this party, we must work with him. This is a story that USLFers did not know about. If by any chance he had said at the time that Maitri would be the next Prime Minister, he wouldn't have left. He wanted someone from his own family in this position.
Let's take a look at what's being said on the election campaign stage.
I'm a state minister. If not for the Prime Minister, I would have been first in the Colombo district. Am I happy now? I am the person that mentioned Mahinda Rajapaksa's name and scolded him the most ahead of the presidential election. There are many of us who carried out a great deal of work who are unhappy. So if you ask me, I am also unhappy.
There are no elephants in Kaduela now. I am waiting to see if I meet Sujiva on the road, but it has not happened yet. Bananas. If there is flooding, he will bring you a banana. So this time around, the elephants will face a drought in Kaduela. Even the traditional UN peers have begun to understand the truth.
The rogues, the corrupt and the fraudsters will go where they need to be in the next 2 years. They are troubled now asking where the rogues are. We will catch them. I say with faith that President Maithripala Sirisena will fulfill this responsibility.
Some people ask why no cases have been filed for their thievery and thuggery. It is not that there are no cases. The problem is under the current system, cases are always postponed. Cases have been filed against Basil Rajapaksa, Namal Rajapaksa, Yoshita Rajapaksa and Shiranti Rajapaksa. These are all stuck at the Attorney General's department, but nothing has been suppressed. I think that you may even see punishment being meted out before you expect it.
The time it takes to hand down punishment is determined by the courts. So we will entrust this to the courts. This is like Tajuddin's case. When an election is close by, the body is exhumed. When an election is close by, my name comes up.
How many times has he said so? Minister Kehelia has forgotten his history. I will not say anything about history. You can see what will happen around the 10th or 12th of January.
I have many disagreements with the President and Prime Minister, but we agree on one thing. They have entrusted the subject of livestock to the right man. You need not listen to anything that is being said by the man tasked with looking after the cattle. That is all I have to say. The Department of Customs seized a sum of over 31 million rupees, which a businessman of Malaysian origin, his son and 2 others had attempted to smuggle out of the country. The 4 men had attempted to travel overseas on the 10th of November.
Customs officials had discovered a sum of $50,000 in the luggage of the Malaysian businessman Jayasudhir Jayaram at the exclusive Silk Route lounge at the Bandaranaike International Airport. Customs officials noted that the suspect was interrogated and that his son, who was preparing to board a separate flight, was also interrogated. Customs officials had also discovered another $50,000 in his son's possession. Customs noted that the suspects were released after they guaranteed that they would attend an inquiry on the 23rd of November, adding that the money amounting to $100,000 was forfeited. On the same day that the father-son duo were detained, another 2 men were apprehended with $108,000 in their possession. They had claimed to have won the money at a casino in Colombo. During questioning, the 2 men claimed to have been in the country regarding a board of investment project being undertaken in Vaunia. Customs noted that the money was forfeited and that the men were released after being fined. However, as the suspects did not attend the subsequent inquiry, the total sum of $208,000, amounting to more than 31 million rupees, has been seized by the state. Reporting on the incident recently, the Sunday Times revealed that the Malaysian businessman in question, Jayasudhir Jayaram, was fronting negotiations in the sale of the business of a prominent financial services and media group to a foreign investor. The report also reveals that he is a stakeholder in the 75-floor Horton Square mixed development project.
The first question that arises out of this story is whether a foreign national can be released based on a guarantee that they will return to the country for an inquiry.
When you do a Google search for Jayasudhir Jayaram, this is what you see. Links to articles involving various irregularities and even the link to the result of a High Court case in Singapore. You also find the Wikipedia link to the Oil for Food program, which was established in 1995 by the United Nations to allow Iraq to sell oil on the world market in exchange for food, medicine and other humanitarian needs for ordinary Iraqi citizens. Jayaram is alleged to have benefited from corrupt dealings under this program. This article from the Sunday Times of the 16th of July shows the involvement of Jayasudhir Jayaram with a certain Ramasamy Muthusamy Manivannan of Supreme Sat fame, Sri Lanka's ever-elusive first venture into space, which also involved Rohita Rajapaksa, youngest son of the former president. Another report from the Sunday Times of the 23rd of July 2017 notes that the megapolis minister has asked the IGP to investigate the offshore dealings of the directors of the Horton Square project, of which Jairam is one. Jairam's address has been listed as being in the British Virgin Islands, a notorious haven for offshore shell companies. When it comes to foreign direct investments in our country, is this the caliber of investors we want to attract? Are these the only investors willing to invest in our country? Is this the kind of investor we deserve? Tomorrow, News First will take a closer look at this web of entanglements and the key players involved.
New Chinese regulation banning the import of 24 different types of waste will come into force, sending shockwaves through the global multi-billion-dollar waste disposal and recycling industry.
Since the 1980s, China has become the world's largest importer of waste, or foreign trash as it is commonly called in Chinese. By 2012, up to 56% of global exported plastic waste ended up in China. The new ban announced in July 2017 is not a total ban. It will ban the import of 24 of the dirtiest and most polluting types of waste, ranging from household plastic waste to unsorted paper and recycled textiles to slag. Here in Sri Lanka, the Central Environmental Authority will begin raids from today to apprehend those who violate the new regulations imposed by the government on all polythene products in September 2017. The CEA said the government had given a grace period for people to adjust to the new regulations, and from today it would strictly adhere to the law. Those who do not adhere to the new regulations in manufacturing polythene-related products will be slapped with a 10,000 rupee fine or face a 2-year imprisonment.
Mitotamulla is once again making the news as another fire erupted at the site today.
The Fire Service Department reported the fire was doused with the assistance of 3 service vehicles and a special team of officers from the Kalani Mulla Army Camp. Authorities suspect that the fire was caused by fireworks which were set off in the vicinity. Awards are being given to certain officials for the so-called management of the Mitotamulla garbage dump by this government. But in truth, these awards are being given to murderers. 33 people had to pay with their lives to prevent more garbage being dumped here. In a country where such murderers receive accolades, it is hard to imagine that proper care will be taken to manage these matters. Fireworks also caused fires in several buildings around the country. A fire erupted in a 10-story building on Vandervoort Place in Dehiwala this morning. The Dehiwala Fire and Rescue Unit reported that 8 floors were completely destroyed by the fire. Firecrackers falling onto the reinforcements that were planted around the building are suspected as the cause of the fire. A warehouse in Bellantura, Dehiwala, that uses chemicals to manufacture polythene was on fire this morning. The cause of the fire is still undisclosed, but the police suspect the explosion of firecrackers to be the source of the fire. A 3-story building was destroyed by a fire in Napawala, Avisavella. Our correspondent said the building served as a warehouse for imported goods.
Multiple road accidents which resulted in the deaths of 5 people and 33 injuries were reported over New Year's Eve.
A bus travelling from Colombo to Thanamalvila crashed into a bridge in Ranavanarava at around 9:30 p.m. yesterday. 27 passengers were injured while the bus driver's assistant was killed. The assistant was a 25-year-old youth residing in the Alla area. The driver of the bus had fled the scene of the accident but admitted himself to the Hambantota Base Hospital the next morning. Another person died following an accident near the 36th mile post on the Bibila-Padula road. The accident took place when a motorbike travelling towards Badulla ran into a man who was crossing the road. The deceased is a 57-year-old resident of Cabalcatia. 4 people were injured in a collision on the A9 road in Vaunia. Our reporter said the injured were admitted to the Vaunia hospital. The accident took place when a Vaunia-bound cab from Dambulla collided with a lorry travelling from Vaunia to Anuradhapura. 2 people were killed in another accident in Ulukade Pilana in Gaul. Our reporter said another man who sustained critical injuries has been admitted to the Karapitiya Teaching Hospital. The accident took place when a motorcycle veered off the road. Reports indicate that 3 men were travelling on the motorcycle and none of them were wearing helmets. Another fatality was reported when a tipper truck ran over a cyclist in Baduragoda Mirigama. Our reporter said the driver of the tipper fled the scene soon after the accident. The victim was a 54-year-old carpenter. Meanwhile, another road accident occurred in Vanamal Uyanathirappane today when a car crashed into a shop at about 10 am today as a result of the driver falling asleep. A woman who was travelling in the passenger seat sustained injuries and was admitted to the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital.
512 people were admitted to the emergency unit over the 30th and 31st of December this year. This is a 6% increase in comparison to last year. The number of people admitted due to road accidents is 117, which is an increase of 3%.
Let's now take a look at the day's illustrated news by our resident cartoonist Asankal Aduahetti.
Manager of the Ceylonese hockey and football club Dhammika Madhagadara has said he has received threats following the altercation that erupted on Saturday following the tightly contested match between CHNFC and Navy SC.
The inter-club match was played at Navy SC's home grounds in Valisara. The hosts claimed a last-minute victory with the scoreline at 27-24. After the final whistle, an argument between the players of the two teams escalated into an exchange of blows. The manner in which Yoshita Rajapaksa and Namal Rajapaksa got involved in the altercation can be seen through these images. Yoshita Rajapaksa was playing for CHNFC. Consequent to the incident, Dhammika Madhagadara had lodged a complaint with the Cinnamon Gardens police that a group had threatened him.
We leave you tonight with images of celebrations around the world and wish you all a very happy new year from the Newsfirst team.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Dasni Ataba.
And I'm Shane Silva. Take care and good night.